Today we'll be talking about the PolyTuff Super Seal tape application. The Super Seal tape is laid out along the horizontal leg and turned up about 1/16 of an inch onto the vertical leg of the metal flashing. It is tucked neatly into place to prevent any voids, and the plastic release film is pulled out from underneath the Super Seal tape. Hand pressure is sufficient enough to allow the adhesion of the tape to the metal flashing. Again, the tape is pulled out in advance, aligned along the metal flashing edge, and then the release film pulled out in front of it. In pitch pans, the same thing occurs. Here the tape is laid out in place, turning up the pitch pan about 1/16 of an inch, and then with a pair of scissors is trimmed and cut into place. The Super Seal tape significantly reduces the time of surface preparation for metal and copper and stainless steel in place of priming when the Super Seal tape is easily installed and deck coating application can begin immediately. The Super Seal tape laps may be overlapped of 1 inch or butted in place. The Super Seal tape must be coated completely over all the fiberglass so as not to leave the fiberglass exposed to water. The Super Seal tape provides an easy solution compared to a mechanical abrading and priming. The Super Seal tape is coating ready, and once it is installed, the coating may be applied directly over the top of the Super Seal tape. If you have any questions, call us at 866-977-8833. The next step will be the primer application, which will be followed by the standard deck coating application. Be sure to continue to follow and watch the rest of this video. Before applying coating, primer must be applied at 300 square feet per gallon, usually by a 3/8 snap roller. When the primer is thumbprint tacky in approximately 45 minutes, the coating application may begin. In this section of the video, we'll be discussing the application of a standard deck coating system when sand is not added to the coating. The first thing you do is remove the lid from the pail and mix the pail from the bottom to the top, making sure that all the fluids are homogeneously mixed together and there's no syrup at the surface. This takes about 2 minutes. The contractor is mixing with a 1/2 inch drill, a 900 RPM drill. This is in real time that we're watching this, so you can see approximately how long it takes. We're using a standard box paddle, or there are a number of paddles that available to mix the coating with. I don't have any preference one over the other. Here you see they've gotten a 5-gallon bucket of water next to it, and they're going to measure out the water that they're going to put in the coating. But first they will separate the 5-gallon pail after it is mixed into 2.5-gallon pails. In other words, they're going to take half the 5-gallon pail and pour it into half of it into an empty 5-gallon pail. So that's what they're doing here, and they're eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be exact. And here we see a 2.5 quart container. We're going to fill it right to the brim, and we're going to add 2.5 quarts of water to 2.5 gallons of coating. So we take the water, the 2.5 quarts of water, and we pour the water into the container with 2.5 gallons of coating. We're going to start with a 1/2 bottle of catalyst, and we can add the catalyst directly to the water in the mix while the water is unmixed. As you see right here, and we're just going to mix it until all the water disappears. This takes about 90 seconds to do. Once the coating has absorbed all the water, we're going to be able to apply the coating. And again, we're watching this in real time, and you can see that it takes about 90 seconds or so for that to occur. We're making sure that the water likes to hang around the edges of the pail. We're making sure that that water is all mixed together and there's no water hanging around the edges of the pail. Now, here we have a 60 mil notch squeegee. The contractor is wearing golf shoes or spike shoes, aerator shoes, sometimes they're called. And he's squeegeeing out the base coat. We're in some pretty tight quarters here. It's about maybe 8 or 10 feet across, 12 feet across, I guess, actually. And we pour out the coating, and then it is back rolled after it is squeegeed. And the squeegee operation, it's very simple. You just using a notched squeegee, you pour it out ahead of the squeegee, and just without applying a great deal of pressure, just squeegee it in place. Now, here the contractor is back rolling the coating after it's been squeegeed out. And in the back rolling process, you do not apply a lot of pressure to the roller. You just let the roller do the work. And you see the contractor here is working under some copper flashing that's hanging out over the edge that's being reworked. And again, you're not going to put a lot of pressure on the roller when you're or the squeegee when you're working. You're just kind of letting the squeegee and the roller do the work. And it's just a gentle back roll of the top coat, of the base coat, and moving on. This is not hard work. You can see or the contractor here is rolling this out with one hand. He's back rolling, the spike shoes let you walk in the coating, so that's a significant advantage. So you can walk behind the squeegee, helps the flow of the material go out pretty easy. In about 45 minutes after the coating application, the coating will become thumbprint tacky. And as soon as it becomes firm and thumbprint tacky, we can broadcast sand on top of it. The way you can tell is you put your thumbprint in it and it leaves a slight residue. You can throw some sand on it, see if it sinks. If it sinks, it's not good. If it doesn't sink, it's okay. And we're broadcasting to refusal. We're just going to cover this deck in sand. And after about 2 hours, we're sweeping off the sand. You can see we're working on the deck. The sand has been swept off. And we're getting ready for the top coat application. See the deck evenly covered in sand. And then the top coat is rolled on. The top shield EST is rolled on. And that's the finished deck. Now, to make a sand slurry, for sloping purposes, we mix the same standard coating. We use 2.5 quarts of water to a pail of deck coating, PolyTuff Classic or eTuff 100, and then we fill the rest of the pail with sand. This is sand slurry, and this is what we're going to use for the sloping application. After that, the bucket is filled with sand. The sand is mixed thoroughly into the coating. Now we're going to fill the bucket all the way to the rim. So we started with a half a pail, and of coating. We added the water, we added the catalyst, and then we mix that together till the water disappears, and then we fill the bucket with 16 to 30 mesh silica sand. That's the sand slurry. Now, what the contractor is doing here is he's poured it out at the high spot where he's going to make a cricket here, and he's working to the low spot, creating a feather edge at the end. So he's left it thick along the high spot area in the center between the two between the two scuppers, and he's feather edging it down to the scuppers, creating a slope to drain. You can see the sand slurry stays in place. Now he's working to the other scupper at the other end, and just kind of creating a slope, gradually tapering it down to a feather edge at the scupper. Now, we added extra catalyst to this so that the catalyst helps the sand slurry mixture cure faster. So you can add, we added, in this case, I think we added a whole bottle of catalyst. You can add up to 2 bottles of catalyst per half a pail. Just make sure you mix it out. Mix it up and get it out. Now here we're just filling a shallow pond. We're using a metal screed, and we're just filling on a shallow pond. No sand was mixed in this coating, and he's just moving this screed back and forth, the metal screed back and forth, and until we know that the shallow pond has been filled. Here, a nail was put at one end of the screed to a 1/2 inch, I'm sorry, 3/4 of an inch slope, and with a feather edge at the other end, and it's just screeded out. The coating is poured out and screeded out in place. This is the top coat application. Again, after the sand broadcast has been allowed to cure for, the coating's been allowed to cure for about 2 hours after the sand broadcast. Contractor is using a 3/4 inch nap ruler. He's put 2 to 3 quarts of xylene in the Top Shield EST, and he simply rolls it out, leaving a wet edge for himself as he goes.